We have all come across the terms coding and software development. Well, the good news is that they are no more scary, thanks to tools like low code and no code. Moreover, technology units of most organizations today face tremendous pressure to develop and deploy software applications rapidly as per end user expectations. New software developments are often put on hold or delayed simply because of shortage of skilled resources and a backlog of operations and maintenance work. Modern innovative methods like low code and no code can go a long way in solving many of these challenges. These tools are for people who either do not know how to code or have no time to code. Whereas these platforms and frameworks are actually built on coding languages, for example, PHP, Python, and Java. End users are not concerned with the specifics. This is another advantage. Instead, they are given visual software development environments where they can drag and drop program components, link them, and watch what occurs. In effect, it may be utilized as a familiar wizard-style paradigm to build, test, and even deploy applications that are totally focused on simplicity of use. When compared with traditional approaches, such platforms simplify speed and lower the cost of application development, which is particularly tempting to the IT functions. Today, we'll discuss how organizations can leverage such tools to enhance customer experiences and front-end services for minimum disruption. Hello and welcome to yet another episode of NewGen Presents ET Studios Digital Compass Season 2 in association with ETCIO, Building the Modern Tech Stack with Low Code, a video series delving into low-code solutions for enterprise-scale automation. And I am your host, Muqbil Ahmer, Executive Editor, The Economic Times CIO. And today we are going to talk about the above and much more. And we have a lineup of senior technology leaders today. It's my pleasure to introduce Puneet Kohli, President IT and Data CIO, Liberty General Insurance, Jay Bhuva, Partner Consulting, Deloitte India, and last but not the least, Ritesh Verma, Head of Business Solution Group, NewGen. Puneet, as the world moves at a fast pace, what role does a modern tech stack play in helping insurance companies like Liberty General Insurance not only keep up, but also thrive in the evolving landscape?
Thanks for that question. Good evening to everybody. So with the modern low code or no code platforms, what we talk about, insurance companies have a faster go-to-market approach. With the market segmentations in terms of meeting the requirements regarding the agencies or probably the brokers or probably the advisors network, what exactly plays a very big role that we have to have a new paradigm shift in terms of enterprise transformation. When we talk about enterprise transformations, what we expect, mobility first approach, digital first approach. And when we really feel there could be where the agents who are working on feet on street and they would like to have a policy cover note or anything, it should be a fraction of a nanosecond approach that, they should be able to disburse the entire end-to-end automation, a seamless journey which goes online with a digital click. And through any kind of approach, maybe it's a mobility or a device agnostic or a technology agnostic approach, they should be able to see the PDF on their, any handsets or whatever they are concerning. Now, what seems possible today is that there are the back-end systems, there are the front-end systems, and then there are the various huge infrastructure which gets catered to for enablement of this, one enablement for one less than 1 minute kind of an ecosystem. But many things goes at the back end. So what is the present day's tech demand to meet such timelines is, one, a competitiveness, we should have a cutting edge. We should have a low code configurator where we say that, the rule engine defines the logics in terms of various, whatever be the kind of, whether we any kind of segment or LOB you want to represent. The underwriting gives you a practice that what it has to be 12, then the logics gets defined in the rule engine and ultimately the output comes through a front end system. So these are certain journeys which talks about either in the form of assisted based transaction or a direct, click based transaction, whatever we talk about. These seamless journeys are a day in and day out. A lot of work goes at the back end. But if we are not sustainable in the market, then we lose our edge. This is one area. Second area is that, the traditional approach of building up, a configurator, building up on .NET or the traditional based platform, no more days are there. The new microservices architecture talks about component based modular approach, where we talk about an engine which basically, what runs the logics at the back end and gives you the respective output. And based on that, whatever one has to generate, we immediately get generated as a part of the PDF. That's what is, the current demand of the market is.
Right. Excellent response from you, Puneet. Now, my next question to you is, with the democratization of things like artificial intelligence and financial institutions needing to safeguard data with ever-evolving regulatory measures, how can technology help with the speed and agility insurance companies need for seamless operations while updating their processes to be compliant?
One is, there are two angles to it. Basically, one where the organizations are, day in and day out working on their data. So the traditional approach was data is the new oil. But what we said, it's a composite, combination of people, process, technology and data. When we really run the entire ecosystem, data plays a very big role. And where the respective departments or the functions in the business owns those data, they're the custodians of the data. Now, when regulatory framework comes like the new GDPR and the various combinations as a regulatory framework, they are playing a very big role. And from the regulatory angle also, the IRDA that we talk about, our regulatory framework, which we have all the manufacturers report into. So there is a huge demand in terms of creating digital tools, more and more digital tools, and government players also have opened up a complete open API architecture, which talks about, we are giving you the open API, just consume, like the health record, we talk about ABA integrations or various such platforms which are available today. I think so it's seamless, that it's just a consumption, either the APIs get exposed or we tell them to, consume our APIs. So the two seamless integration, it makes an enablement for the entire ecosystem to work in. And gone are the days when you want to say, when you have to do one change request, the entire architecture was into service-oriented architecture. With the new enterprise realm, what we are talking about, a plug and play and a low-code and no-code platform plays a very big role.
Correct, correct. So according to Gartner's recent research, by 2025, 70% of new apps built by enterprises would use low-code, no-code technologies, up from less than 25% in 2020. How does your company leverage SIS solutions to deliver content-rich applications and enhance customer experience?
So frankly speaking, we just started our practice for it. We definitely look forward for something which resides outside our middleware and the core systems. We will try to build up something as a rule engine, the logics in the low code. As I shared earlier as well in my old answer in reply to you, that the configurator plays a very big role. So we should know the business technology group, which is basically a medium between the business and tech. They probably understand business more well. When the business requirement comes, whether it is a regulatory requirement or whether it is a tech demand or the kind of LOB penetration that a company basically wants to have a demographic approach, that what will be their flagship products that they want to launch, irrespective whether it is retail, health, institutional, or it wants to be into motor or into commercial lines. What we take as an approach is that, like, when the entire solution engagement is done, then the solution architects come into place and build up the entire ecosystem. Now, when we talk about that, these low-code platforms, when they run, so the content is something which will run and enrich on top of your configurator. And it will also have a back-end and front-end integration to give you the relevant output. So the mobility first approach will talk about a complete seamless integration as an output in the form of mobility. What you call it, progressive web application. It could be any kind of journey. it can be seen equally important. You will have the same response on the mobile, handset, tab, whatever is there. So this is something which is the need of the hour. But yes, people have taken this approach almost 5 years back, but we are still there. So only the back end gets changes, but front end, every day the tech demand keeps on changing. This is what we talk about. Secondly, hosting on the cloud, which is something which is faster go to the market. If we have all the solutions, which I will not name the OEMs that we're talking about, but the service provider like AWS, Azure and all, they are giving lot of value added services, which probably when you are using and you do a lot of DevOps or a continuous CI and CID pipes, all these technologies play a very big role in terms of artificial intelligence, making what at the back end you want to see, different permutation combinations. At the testing phase only you can get the output. And if we have small pet projects within the tech department and get a representation from the business, I think so it becomes very easy for us to give you an output within probably maybe a 15 days kind of an output. So we don't have a dependency like traditional days of creating a product within 3 months, 9 months, gone are those 100 days kind of an approach.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you that the technology landscape is particularly evolving very fast, and these new technologies and tools have to be leveraged very quickly and rapidly. Now, bringing Jay, you into the discussions, my question to you is, from your own perspective, why is it imperative for organizations to transition from localized sequential automation to a modern tech stack, considering the dynamic nature of today's business environment?
Absolutely, and I guess the fast evolving nature of business and competition requires businesses to shorten the cycle from idea to impact. Like Puneet mentioned, it's very important to have system of engagement, workflows, integrations, all of these developed at a speed, at a pace which is never seen before. Speed and elegance are going together in the market for making an impact. It's important that organizations have tools and technologies and even techniques that they can really depend on to build some of these applications faster. One of the Deloitte recent research that has been published called Tech Trends 2024, it's our 15th edition of what we see is around the corner, is predicting that the organizations would need not one, but multiple low-code, no-code platforms. It is a hybrid environment where the right use cases, right technology, and going from idea to impact faster the market. It's very important that we enable our developers to be able to do this. That's why it is very important.
Absolutely. Ritesh, your views?
Well, as Jay pointed out, and Ms. Kohli as well from the industry, the low-code, no-code is not just about doing it in a certain way. It's about making the lives of the people who do it simpler, and in return, making the business much more agile in order to respond to the conditions much more faster. Now, what has happened over the years is, on the name of digital transformation, a lot of people have invested into the front end of things. However, not integrating it into the back end, there are challenges of making it seamless and overall journey to be orchestrated and worked upon. So I guess this is where multiple low-code, no-code systems would come in. They would play to the likes of making things as straight through as possible and making the lives of the end customers, be it vendors, customers, employees, much more comfortable.
Right. So, coming back to you, Jay, data centricity, something that we all talk about these days, is a top priority for businesses. Now, how can tech-enabled transformation support this new data world? As Puneet also mentioned that data is the new oil. All kinds of sobriquets are being used for it. What are yours? What are your views on this? What is your perspective?
I think the pace at which data is becoming important to drive interactions with end consumers and the partner ecosystem is putting a lot of pressure on organizations to have data structured, to be able to use it in a way where they are ready for Gen AI. It's very topical for organizations to be able to have the right data which they can depend on to train the model. And when the organizations find themselves that they do not have the right data set, And that is because they did not have the right output or input or touch points, is where the whole problem arises. Some of the low-code, no-code tool provides the right guardrails in which data is generated in a secure environment by design rather than as an afterthought. It is important that the applications are built more productively, and they are able to go from development to testing to market very fast. It's also important to mention that gone are the days of DevOps. I would say it's DevX. We are required to enable our developer experience to a level where they find themselves equipped to build applications which are innovative, which are data-centric, and which are ready for market. And all of that requires new set of tools.
Excellent points coming from you, Jay. Now, shifting our attention to something more pertinent and a much talked about subject today, which is about AI integration, artificial intelligence. Now, in that sense, we all understand the need for something like achieving real-time decisions, straight through processing and all of that. So what is your views on this? How can the adoption of a tool like these that we have been talking about, how can they help in that respect?
It's all about spending right time on the right topic and on the right problem to solve. It's very important to build applications by sitting next to businesses rather than sitting next to code. When the fusion teams are deliberating on what to solve rather than how to solve, is where an organization will start making impact in the market and differentiate. I think it's very important that the AI capabilities have the fusion teams from business and technology teams participate. If there is a hindrance of technology in being able to build such capability within the applications, it is only going to slow the pace at which you are able to build that.
Right, excellent point. Coming to you, Ritesh, quickly.
Absolutely. So Jay made some very interesting points. Ms. Puneet talked about the overall journey being orchestrated. How I think things would evolve is compartmentalizing it. So if you look at it, there's the customer experience, which is all about the portals, the mobility, and the apps that Ms. Puneet talked about. Then there is the operations, and then finally business innovation. So all of them need to work in tandem in order to make things happen and make that differentiated business to work. And what's most important into all of this is the free flow of data from the customer experience to operations to the intelligence part. How you can use the data in order to making sense for a customer to enter minimum amount of things in order to make his journey as straight through as possible. How you can represent that data onto dashboards, into outputs so that it's making more sense. And finally, how you can use AI in order to make relevance of that data visible to the community and making a loop back into the customer experience and the operational excellence as such. And it's there that the low-code, no-code tools help you to make customer experience better, operations better, utilize the business intelligence and loop it back. So it's made for change. And the fusion teams allow this distribution of work to happen.
Wonderful points. Puneet, would you like to jump into the discussions?
So basically, very rightly pointed by Jay, and I must say that, technology bridges the gap between business and the real stakeholders. So when you want to make a requirement get into a technology enablement, probably business plays a very big role because they know what they want. And it's about musicians will play only those notes or music, which probably the people will give it to them.
I think that's a great example.
Yeah. And the coders are like dumb coders. What they would expect, they will be putting the technology in customization, what exactly the BRD or the business requirement will tell them to code, making wireframes, giving a functional design document and make a business to sign, so that at least they can visualize and see that what exactly would be different, what we are going to cater. So that is how the tech gets bridges the gap, And that is why in today's world, in the modern days world, tech sits centrally and enables the entire ecosystem.
Absolutely, I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
And very strong words coming from Puneet. So, going to you for the last question, Ritesh, how can you help enterprises in their journey towards adopting something like low code, no code platforms and really facilitating their digital transformation journey and taking it to the next level?
So actually, the Newgen One platform that we have enables three things. One is automation of the complete journey. And when I say automation of the complete journey, it's not just about the process being automated. There are documents that come in. There are communications that need to happen. And there are ultimately inferences that need to be drawn, put into an AI engine, and then references taken back. So that's one. Second is about automating at scale. It's not just one process that you automate. In order to a transformation to happen for an organization, the automation must happen at scale. It should be approximately 80 to 90 processes done across departments, taking view of various things together. And in order to do that, the underlying compliances, security frameworks, and adaptation of various things must come into place. And finally, it's about division of labor. As Ms. Puneet pointed out, there's a coding layer, which is more about integrations to happen, so that will never go away. There's this business layer, which is about defining the specifications and how business needs to operate. And then there's the orchestration or the project management layer, which is more about doing things, making sure that the program goes through and things like that. So it's about orchestrating all of these angles together in order to make that transformation into an organization possible. And that's where we come in and make that change to happen.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more with you. You have summed it up very well and lessened my burden to summarize it. And so it's been a lovely, lovely discussion today where we discussed all aspects of the adoption of something like low code, no code platforms, and of course, all the critical elements that go along with it, namely people, process, and technology. It's been a really insightful discussion today. And thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today and for your insights. And we look forward to another episode of this series. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
so
for
much.
having us. Thank you.
Thank you for having us on
Thank
this
you.
platform.